G'day, superstars. Peps and Jdog. It's the round 12 review. Massive weekend of football and a very interesting one at that. I've got the great man, JB the Jdog Wallace. I'm Chris Pepper. Back for another weekend of football. Lots of surprises. Jamie's a happy guy because his team did not lose or win this week. We'll get into the Ds because I have some shocking statistics about how bad they are going. Some pretty interesting results. We've got a rising star. We've got the ladder. We've got all the nitty-gritty that we want to get through before we start. Let's welcome him aboard. Big Dog, how you feeling, champion? And can you believe that we are virtually halfway through the AFL season already?
Thank God. Peps, I'm great. Hello, everyone out there. And let's get started.
All right. First things first. Let's get into the ladder for this weekend of football. Collingwood on top of the ladder. Half a game clear of the Brisbane Lions, Adelaide Crows. What a great win that they had. Did you see them dominating Sydney by that much? No. I thought they would win, but not by that much. The Gold Coast Suns had a loss, Jamie. I'd love to hear your thoughts about their effort against the Fremantle Dockers. The Wankers with Anchors are back. Geelong Cats. Hawthorn still in 6th position after the absolute shitstorm that they served up on Thursday night. GWS, a great win, but a very close win against Richmond. Fremantle, what a sensational result. Gets them into the top 8. I think the first time this year. Western Bulldogs, 24. They did have the week off. Essendon, St Kilda, massive win over the Ds. Melbourne, absolutely putrid. They're all on 20 points. And then you've got Carl Tank. We've got the Shitney Swans. We've got Port Adelaide. We've got Richmond, who are playing better football than North, playing better football than West Coast. I would always say better than Port and Sydney at this moment in time. And once again, North, 10 points. West Coast Eagles had a crack for 3 quarters against Geelong. That is your ladder. Thoughts and feelings. And is the 8 locked in?
The 8 is not locked in.
Yep.
Thoughts and feelings. There were some teams that lost and shit the bed, namely your mob. Gold Coast Suns. I still think you're going pretty well.
Yep.
You're pretty going well.
Who's that? Gold Coast? Yeah.
Gold Coast, yeah, they're going well. Peps, there's no one there really that has surprised me Freo. I feel like it was only 5 weeks ago we're saying, what the hell, Freo?
Mm-hmm.
But they're playing like the Fremantle they're probably most thought that we're going to play this year.
Yeah, they've almost freed themselves up. They've almost what Melbourne did 6 weeks ago, when they opened themselves up and decided to move the ball faster, get the handball game going, just get it into their forwards a lot quicker. And isn't it amazing, Jdog? When you get it down there fast, defenders can't get back. And when defenders can't get back, you kick goals.
Correct. Sydney is in straight up free fall at the moment.
Oh, Jesus.
But no, Peps, the 8 is not locked in.
Mm-hmm.
I would lock it away.
How far would you go down? How far would you go down for teams that can make the 8?
I'm going to go 6. I'm going to go the top 5 is set for the 8.
Yep.
But I'm going to say there's still 3 spots available.
Okay. And how far down for the teams that can come in? So I'm tipping you're saying Western Bulldogs, yes?
Yep.
Essendon, yes?
Yes.
St Kilda?
Can I sound really weird here? And I reckon I'd still back Carlton over St Kilda or Melbourne.
Interesting. Okay. Yep.
And that's about it for mine.
Okay. I'm fascinated. I reckon you're right. I still think Hawthorn will make it, but they're not going to do anything. They are a shell of what they were last year, and maybe they just peaked a little bit too quickly and haven't been able to catch up. And the Hollywood Hawks are now turning into the Bollywood Hawks. That's the way that I'm looking at things at the moment. But yeah, that's the ladder. Lots of things to get into because it all starts with the results from last week as well too. Brisbane with a pretty interesting win over Essendon up there. Can I be frank? When this game was on, I think I turned it off halfway through the first quarter because it was just boring. And then I turned it back on around half-time when it started to get a little bit closer. And then I turned it off again pretty much at 3/4 time because I just thought Brisbane are doing a Brisbane thing and they'll win this one. But the interesting fact was when after the game, the Nate Caddy, how good's this guy going to be? Comments started to flow through on multiple chats. And I thought, okay, I'm going to have a look. He's not too shabby, the big boy. Boy can play.
Blonde hair, mate. Can go.
Yeah, he can go. An absolute gun. The goal over the head, they're saying is that goal of the year. Anyone can do it. I've done it. In a game, I'm not going to lie, I did it in a game. Senior coach ran the runner out and said, if you ever do that again, you'll be dragged and never play seniors again.
Who was the I think the passage of play from the assist was actually more better.
Yep.
Who was around the goal line, kicked it on the run, opposite foot, sort of weird kick that wasn't a kick, but it was a kick.
I can picture it. Just can't remember the
Gresham?
name.
No.
Let's go with Gresham. Let's go with Gresham.
There was someone.
Gresham. Rightio. Collingwood versus Hawthorn. Absolute snooze fest. I loved what Jdog served up. I thought Jdog was a little bit humble as well too. The way he played against Collingwood. I know that there was a bit of, bad blood, you would say, but you look after the game, the players are getting around him, how you going. They're premiership teammates, mate. That's never going to break. So regardless of what it is, but I've got to tell you, Jamie, I keep saying it week after week after week. Every time I see Collingwood play, they just remind me of how bad I am at thinking they were never going to play finals. I don't know how I got that one wrong.
I think about the same thing too, where you said to everyone that they are not going to make the 8.
You have a look at their age profile, you have a look at who they brought in, and you think, how they have to. Pendlebury has to get injured. Sidebottom has to get injured. Howe has to get injured. Moore, Cox, Mychek, all these people, DeGoey, Sidebottom, all of these people have to get injured. They have to. And you know what? They do. And these kids just come in and fill a slot, and they're just amazing. And Hawthorn were average, and that scoreline would have been a lot worse if it wasn't for Ginnivan. But also, it just goes to show how much one player, being Will Day, makes that much of an impact to that team. This is bigger than Will Day, though. I know. I think it is bigger. I think that there's. I won't say that there's issues, but is this the real Hawthorn? Were they just playing on a lot of emotion last year, and that just got them so far, and then when the pressure's on? Because if you remember, I did say at the start of the year that I actually think I made the prediction that they would finish either quite low in the 8 or outside the 8, because of the simple fact that they'd have a harder draw and teams will know how to play against them, and it's shown this year. So I've got Collingwood wrong, but I've got Hawthorn right so far. I would say the result of the weekend was this next game, Gold Coast versus the Fremantle Dockers. When I had a bit of a chat last week to Tommy Roker, I pretty much said that Gold Coast would win this one because it is literally the furthest road trip that they have to do. To go from the other side of the country all the way up to the Sunshine Coast. They've been playing okay football. You'd almost go to say, outside of Richmond being Carlton at the start of the year, that would almost have been the win of the season. I'd pretty much go as far as saying that is the upset win of the season, I'd say.
It was a good win. Could that cost the Gold Coast Suns top 4?
Nah, I still think they've still got something like 7 home games up there at People First Stadium. So they've still got a truckload of games. They won't be against great teams, and they're going to have a softer draw as well. Look, they're playing finals. I still think they'll make top 8. I think it's going to be
top 4 though.
Oh, sorry, top 4. Thank you, big fella. I think it's going to be out of them and Adelaide for that 4th spot. So whoever can take most advantage of their games at home will be the ones who win that. GWS over Richmond. I don't know if you saw the end of this game, Jdog. I was fascinated. GWS, they're a V8 going on about 5 cylinders at the moment. They've got players that are out, but they just can't seem to get everything ticking. And Richmond, they are playing great football under Uze. They've got this great connection between the young and the old. They've got a system that is working, and it's amazing what you can do if you go to the draft, you pick young kids, and you have that blend of experience, what it can do for a group. And I think these guys, I know that they're third last on the ladder, but they are playing better than some teams above them, and definitely better than other teams who have been in a rebuild for multiple years.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants were hot, and to push them right literally to the last 5 minutes of the game.
Yep,
Great job.
it was. And it was a really nice, hard fought game as well. It was back and forth. And I just think it was almost the game against West Coast where the youthfulness of the team, you could almost say, lost it. Very similar in this case as well, too. But once again, if I was a Richmond supporter, I'd say the future's bright. Very, very bright. Where it's not very bright, though, Jdog, is happening just above the border in Sydney. The Swans, pumped by the Crows, 90 points.
It's a bloodbath, wasn't it?
This was a debacle. You thought when they lost to Melbourne by 53 last week, it should have been close to 70, 80 if it wasn't for just some bad kicking. But they got slaughtered by Adelaide, and you'd almost say that was Adelaide's best performance so far this year. It was a complete performance from the backs to the mids to the forwards. It was, Josh Rochelle, who's had a lot of pressure, a lot of debate on, is he going to be that player? You could almost say that was his breakout game in what he delivered. Adelaide, I definitely think it's the Burgess factor. He did it with Melbourne. He did it with Port. He's doing it with Adelaide as well too. He gets these teams fit. They go longer, harder, faster. And they just outworked and out-dominated City. When it was, I think, 10 points at halftime for Sydney. Yeah, that's not pretty. And I don't think it's all personnel. I think there's some mental scars that group have got from the last little bit of time that is, definitely causing some issues with them being able to break, because they've got a few out, but I wouldn't say that there's 10 out from their grand final team from last year that went on a massive run.
I question, this is the performances like this, when you see a team drop so far and a coach leaving, you have to put this back on the leaders of the club. And I just don't think those leaders of the club are representing the Sydney Swans right now.
Yep.
Because I get it that the coach who's been there for, I don't know, Peps, 10 years, was he there for?
Yep.
Force?
He was there for, no, he was longer than that.
I was unders. I was going unders. But it's been a while. But when someone like that leaves, it's almost like the Cats did it.
Mm-hmm.
They just come in. That team should be able to almost be pretty self-sufficient until the new coach finds their feet and then moves on.
Yep.
This is 100% on that Sydney leadership crew. It is not a reflection on the coach.
15
it's
seasons.
Unfair
15
to be.
seasons, I think he was there for. 15.
15, there we go. It's unfair. It's unfair for Sydney to be doing this to their coach.
No.
And he should be there for 3 years. There should be no jumping at trying to get him out, because there's 100% on the Sydney player list.
Do you think it's a bit of Longmire seems to be a bit of that, if you mess up, you're going to cop it? And Cox seems to be a little bit more relaxed. And do you think players are taking, I won't say advantage of it, but the standards aren't as rigid as they have been under Horse?
When did I send you that message and say that Horse is going to be out? Was it Jan?
Yeah.
It was literally the morning of I sent you that text message.
You called me, you sent me a message to let me know. I wrote back pretty much saying, what have you been on? And you want nothing, just wait. And you were right.
I'm not too sure, Peps, about the coaching philosophies and how they are, because this club, the injuries, I think, masked the first 6 weeks of the season, but to now get blown out consistently now, Sydney is just as bad as Port Adelaide at the moment.
Yeah, they're not that good. What I would also like to raise is the chat's going off at the moment, Jdog. Jaron chat, St Kilda won. Yep, thank you for reminding me. Kung Fu Joe, Carlton Hawthorn, same. I think he's got some. No, I think I don't know. I'd take over Carlton Hawthorn at the moment. I think they've both got their positives and they've both got their negatives. And Buzz couldn't make it, but Nick Serace, the new East Killer senior coach, congratulations, legend. Aiden Johnson, coward. D's had the men in green all game. Thanks, Track's cousin. Aiden Johnson, he's played 5 games of football and been suspended twice. Great start to his AFL career. And that means that we're going to move on to Melbourne versus St Kilda. Jdog, I have to mention this before we go any further.
Yes, let's go.
Melbourne, can you stop please selling games? Like, this is not... It's not as bad as Tarps on the Seats Port Adelaide era. And I know we've got that link up there with the Northern Territory. We haven't won there in our last 3. Last 4, actually, and 3 of those losses were against your mob, and then we've lost another.
Right.
That potentially cost our season finals. We just do not play well up there. We just do not play well up there. It is a joke, and please stop, because every Melbourne supporter here is saying it's not worth it. I'd rather take the loss and have the game at the MCG. Loss in revenue.
As Ross Lyon said, serious clubs don't sell the home games.
No, exactly. Well, we're not selling our home game. We're just playing a game up there. If that
you sold your game up there.
Yep, it's not worth it anymore, and it's just gone to prove. But I will say this: St Kilda were the better team for most of the game, and when I'm saying most of the game, their first quarter was brilliant, and their last quarter sunk the D's. You're never going to win a game kicking 7 goals, 21 at all. And you're not going to win a game when a team kicks 2 goals to 6 in the first quarter as well. So Melbourne, you've had a great 5 weeks. The pressure came on a little bit. Something didn't click. And it doesn't click up there. They're up against Collingwood this week in the King's birthday game. I think that they'll play a lot better. I'm not saying that they're going to win. But St Kilda, you've got the makings of a really good unit. Taking TDK at $1.7 million a year is not going to get you into premiership contention. I don't care what you say. Use that money, cut it in half, and go and get 2 of the best midfielders that you can possibly get. That's going to make a massive difference for you. Do not spend Rowan. There is nothing wrong with Rowan Marshall at all. He matched Gawn. He matched Gawn. So
that's what I said last week, and I copped shit for it, but I said the list is actually there.
Yeah, they've got... Who gave you shit? To me? Or was it me or someone else?
No, people on the chat.
Oh, well, I can get stuffed because you know what you're talking about. You're lace out. They're not. But no, really, really well played. Keeler was one... He took Stephen May to the cleaners in the first quarter, set them up really nicely. And he can have Butler come and kick 4 goals back after being injured. That's not good. That's not a good. Last game of the weekend, West Coast versus Geelong. Look, you'd almost say West Coast, they were getting pretty close. I think they got within 10 points at one stage in that last quarter, and then Geelong just put the foot down. You expect when a team's sitting third and a team sitting last that it's going to be more of a blowout. But West Coast, I would say, I reckon their last 5-6 weeks as well hasn't been as bad as it was at the start of the year. They are starting to get a bit of growth. They are starting to get a bit of unification. Here's an interesting one, Jdog. It's amazing what happens if you put Oscar Allen in the forward line. He kicks goals. But yeah, I just think Geelong did what Geelong do. Bailey Smith does what Bailey Smith does. And what more can you say? And that is a nice little snapshot of the round 12 of the 2025 AFL season. Hey, Jdog, do you know we had a rising star this weekend?
All right.
Yep.
Who is it?
I'll tell you who the rising star was. The rising star was Ed Allen from Collingwood. 23 disposals, 5 marks, 3 clearances in the win against Hawthorn on the weekend. He actually played really nicely off half back. And one of the things I liked when I was watching the game, very deliberate with his movement. Doesn't look out of place. He's going to slot in very, very nicely. And he could be one of these guys that if he does what he has to do week in, week out, it's going to be harder to get him out than putting somebody else in. So a really good start to his career. But because he's the rising star, that also means what, Jdog?
It means the newest segment on our show, what would they be doing if they weren't playing AFL?
So explain to the listeners and more importantly the viewers, because they can see the picture of Ed Allen on the screen right now.
Okay. So the idea of this game is looking at the picture that we have on the screen right now. So if you are audio-wise, you may have to pull over and check your phone to see what it looks like, or just check our Facebook site and tell me what would that occupation be if it wasn't for AFL. Now you can get creative, and that's what we encourage. Actually, we want nonsense. So, Peps, any thoughts from you, mate?
Oh, plumber. He has got plumber in Victoria. He's definitely got a Ford Ranger with all the tools on the back, and he's also got a hot missus and a jet ski.
All right, so like one of those sort of plumbers.
Just like my cousin comes over and I go, that's him. Like I'm looking at Haydos right now, and everything I said's true.
All right,
everything.
Do you know what I see?
What do you see?
I see this man working on a production line in the 4 and 20 pie factory.
No way.
Yeah, no, I do. I see him on the meat machine, just squirting down the pies. The car that he drives to work is a 1997 gold Toyota Camry that's well overdue for a timing chain, and the exhaust is just holding on. And on the weekends, he spends his time drinking fat lambs and talking about how he grows his own chop in the backyard.
Can I ask a question? With that car, has he installed his own CD player, or has he got a Discman with one of those cassette adapters?
Discman and a cat. Discman. Or no, sorry, he plays it through the radio. He's got a thing.
No, I don't reckon. Ooh. And I reckon he rocks a 1980s Casio watch too.
Yeah, I reckon that's him.
Yep.
It's like white overalls, face mask, hairnet on the meat machine. And he does that. He clocks in every morning at 5:57 for the 6 a.m. shift.
Yep.
And he's out of there by
what a superstar.
2:35.
He's the type of guy that I want making my 4 and 20s every single year, Jdog. Hey, big man, I need to raise something with you. It's pretty impressive. Now, this is a Melbourne-based little part that I want to bring up because everybody knows.
Here we go.
Yep. No, I just had to bring this up. Now,
I'm just going to turn my camera off for the next 20 minutes or you rant.
Shut up. It's not. Now, we all know that Melbourne are really bad when it comes to goal kicking. We saw it on the weekend. What was it? 7 goals, 21 against St Kilda. Lost another game. I got a text message in. I won't mention his actual name, but he does go by the alias of The Love Machine. Now, The Love Machine sent me a message, and it was simply this. I've got some data for you, and for all the Melbourne supporters out there, I'm actually even going to go, I'm going to main screen 2 here. No, we're going to main screen. I'm going to go interview style. Like, this is how big this one is, right? So, some statistical analysis. So Melbourne supporters, get ready to get absolutely furious with our club. So the Love Machine is one of our listeners of our show, sent me some statistics through about Melbourne's performance in front of goal since the start of 2022. So we're not 22, 23, 24, 25. So 3.5 seasons, that's what we're looking at, all right? Melbourne has played 84 games in that time frame. Do you know Melbourne has kicked more points than goals in 32 of those games? Start laughing. Gets even better. Melbourne has won the inside 50 count 25 times in those 32 matches. It gets even better. Melbourne has won 13 of those matches and lost 19. And to wrap it up, to make it even better in 2025, Melbourne alone this year has kicked more points than goals in 8 of the 12 games. So, this is not a once-a-year problem. This is not a 2-year problem. This is not a 3-year problem. This is a problem that's been going on for 4 years, and for whatever reason, we can't get it right. We can have a really strong backline. We've got a midfield that can fire. We've got wingers, halfbackers. What is it with our program that is allowing us to dominate inside 50, but continually kick more points than goals than the team that we're playing, and we're losing majority of those games? It is an indictment on our club. It is absolutely pathetic. We need answers for this because I am sick of it. And I can tell you now, I was watching some of the previews leading into this game on the weekend, and this was a quote: the only way Melbourne is going to beat Melbourne, so the only team that will beat Melbourne this weekend will be Melbourne. And guess what? They did. They got beaten by what they know, and that goal kicking of 1 goal 12 in the second half was death by 1,000 cuts. You add that playing that game into Darwin, and we have some serious issues that we need to look at. And unfortunately, the club has done nothing about it. And you can't say that you have, because it is repeating time and time again with new people. Something has to change. We're over it. And there's going to be other clubs out there. I'll look at Collingwood, how efficient they are in front of goal. I'll look at Geelong, how efficient they are in front of goal. Brisbane, efficient in front of goal. That's no reason why these goals are at the top of the ladder. That's why they're at the top of the ladder, is because of bad football is bad kicking. And we, funny enough, are leading into the King's birthday, and we are the royals of pathetic performances in front of the big sticks.
Fair point. It's been a problem for a while now for you guys.
Yep.
To be fair to your team, this weekend, though, you only kicked 16 behinds, and the rest were all rushes.
Sorry.
But
that makes it 7 goals 16. Thank you for making me feel a lot better.
But let's talk some names. Do you want to put on the end of that noose Xavier Lindsay?
Young player, kicked 4 behinds. I think 4 behinds. He's a young player, but the shot that he missed at the end of the game, should kick. I will put, you know where it started? I rang up 3AW
when
yesterday.
You recruited Judd McVee?
I don't mess with Judd McVee, all right? He's in my picture back there. When Cozzy Pickett went around the corner from 30 metres out on his left foot and didn't make the distance, that was when the rot started. Max Gawn cannot kick a goal in front of goal. Cannot kick a goal in front of the big sticks. Petrarca, shocking goal kicker. There's that many people that need a Fonzie. It was awful, Jdog. Awful.
I think you actually genuinely did have 16 of the top 20 behind kickers in this game.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me how.
If you just go and filter by behinds this game, the list is just Melbourne. Peps, it's not all bad news though, because before that week you had won 5 of your last 7 or something.
Oh, Jdog, guess who leads the league in behinds? Melbourne. 154 of them.
I'm not saying your kicking is good. It's terrible.
We've kicked 80. We've kicked 133 goals, 154 behinds.
It's terrible kicking.
Mate.
Melbourne's always been terrible kicking.
Collingwood, 162, 153. Bulldogs, 168, 143. Shall I go on, my friend?
Anyone who watches the game for just a quarter
187 goals, 123 behinds. And you wonder why they're sitting 4th.
But you do get a lot of help from the umpires.
Oh, shut the fuck.
You did.
Doesn't matter. We didn't help that much. Anywho, hey, now let's move on from there because I have some exciting news to share. Not too sure if you've been on the Twitter sphere today, but we have a new AFL position of football performance executive has been now taken on by the magnificent Greg Swan. So remember how Laura Kane's position was split in two?
Yep.
Yep, demotion. Now Greg Swan will be looking after everything when it comes to umpiring, match review officer, game development, and rule changes. We're coming in towards the end of the year. I think it's after round 18 he'll be taking care of this. And I think it is a brilliant appointment. They need to get football people in there. It's become way too much of a boys' club. And he's going to have a feel for the umpiring situation, the trading situation, the academies. If you haven't had a chance, jump on our YouTube channel. Tommy Roker and I did a great little talk piece last week about the academies, fact versus myth. And you'll be quite surprised why they were brought in, but more importantly, how they need to keep them in, because it could cause a lot of damage to the northern clubs. But he is going to be a really good appointment, and that means that they've got one more, which is going to be virtually the second in charge, and got the COO. And they want another person coming from the AFL. So whether it's a Meat Baines, whether it is Tom Harley, that's to be seen. But there's a lot of love brought in for this appointment. I'm really happy with it. You've got a guy that's been a CEO at Geelong, not Geelong, Collingwood, Carlton, Brisbane, had success at virtually every single club. It's a great appointment. Something that's been needed for a long time. Thoughts?
Good luck. It's not that the game is broken like the world seems to want to declare. It's just such a hard job.
Yep.
Like nothing makes sense of the rules, because you've got the litigation thing. You've got literally 1,000 cameras now, feels like, at the game. Yep. You've got non-stop talking about football. Good luck to Swanee. Good luck to him.
No, I do. I think he'll be a great appointment, and I think he's going to make a massive difference to head office.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
What?
Because everybody else who's been in those positions, they've been close from an administrative side of things, but they haven't been close at club level. They don't know what clubs are fit. He's got that many contacts across the league where he could pick up the phone to Eddie Maguire and go, Ed, what do you think about this? He could pick the phone up to Chris Fagan and go, what do you think about this? He'll pick the phone up and speak to Brad Greed and go, what do you think about this? He could pick the phone up and go to Luke Beveridge. Hey, mate, I need to have a chat. He's got that many connections across through such a long and storied career. He knows what the challenges are at club level, which I don't think the executive level sees the day. We've worked in businesses together and we've worked in businesses separately. And you know that they've got so many things at the top of the food chain that they're worrying about. Attendances, revenue, growth of the game, these sort of things, where the club specific and the game almost comes secondary. So he's going to look at it and go, I need to clean up things like the in the back rule, the stand rule, the protected zone rule, these sort of things. The academies, the father-sons, the bidding, the draft. The drafting is probably the first thing they'll look at, because I think that has gone too far the other way. And if you end up last, like West Coast will this year, they should get the best player in the land, and they're not going to get them because of all the other bits and pieces.
I mean, just go watch your piece about the NGAs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that's a good video to explain about it, because without that, you don't get that. And without that, you just get Melbourne clubs pillaging the best players of North and development. Yeah, all that.
And look,
Peps.
Yeah, sorry, mate. But Tom Roker said something very interesting. He goes, if the northern clubs, and he's talking about the four up north, Sydney-based and Queensland-based, if they don't have academies, those clubs won't have clubs. Because
Correct.
he said, because the players go there and then they go away. We need to get good Queensland, good Sydney kids in so that they don't leave, but also encourage players to take on, I could go basketball, but I might actually have a crack at this football thing and potentially have a new career. So they need to have them because they just don't have the football factories that are down here in Melbourne, South Australia, Perth.
Yeah. Back on Swan, just a quick one, Peps.
Yep.
I know you mentioned the connections. I know you mentioned all that, but I'll take you back to a time where the boys' club, the connected, the call, we were so in touch with thing. That was the Demetrio days. And how much did people hate football back then? About everything being swept up.
Yep.
Boys making phone calls, giving clubs tip-offs, sliding things away just by having a couple of conversations at CEO level.
Yep.
I'm not saying that Swanee won't be great, but there's a point in time when we hated that as well.
Yeah, no, and I agree wholeheartedly. I think I've got a feeling that things are a bit different since those days. Now, I have a fit. I don't think Dylan's like that. Yeah, I just think that they've put him there because they need someone who can handle the big tasks and who's got a feel for the game. And that's to say Laura Kane didn't, but they've taken all those duties off her. Let's just see how things start to roll through. I'm pretty buoyant on it. But once again, on the 2nd of June, 2025, we can replay this and I could look like a complete fool in a year, 2 years' time.
It's interesting to see what will happen. I don't think Laura Kane did a horrible job considering the somewhat of a cluster F that she had to deal with.
Yeah. And I think you're right with that. I don't think it was all her fault. That's probably
the appointment, like that handover from Gill was horrendous. I don't think there was enough succession built into that for a long time.
I would even go back a further step than that, and I think that they got the wrong person in the first place. I've got every time I hear Dylan speak, I feel he's very corporate and doesn't really have that much connection with the everyday bloke.
Okay.
I want them to come out and go, yeah, we got it wrong. Let's go have a look at it. Instead of saying, I think the umpiring is the best it's ever been, and we sit there and almost choke on our Weet-Bix. You know what I mean?
Hey, how good is Razor Ray these days? Has absolutely taken a knife to his ex-colleagues.
I love it. I think that's the only thing on. Well, look, I like a bit of. Can I ask a question? Do you watch Channel 7 or Fox coverage?
Whatever KO is.
Fox.
Done.
Yep, I watch Fox. Love it. Just love the Fox coverage. But yeah, I love it. And I love it when he goes, no, that's wrong. That's wrong. He shouldn't have done that. Or, no, it's actually right, but here's why. And one of the ones this is, the decisions every week we sort of come up with one that really, grinding my gears. I don't know if you've noticed this one a lot recently where players get tackled and they're holding the ball like this.
Yep.
Someone's nicked my footy. They're holding the ball. Yeah, they're holding the ball like this, and they go to ground, and they don't get rid of the ball, and then they get paid holding the ball, and they're like, oh, I can't get the ball out. I can't get the ball out. It's like, well, yes, you were holding it. You made no attempt.
Yeah.
That right. But then there's other times where the player goes to ground, and this is the best one, right? And if he just swung his leg at it and make an attempt, it would have been okay. But the one that they've been paying a little bit is this one, where they put the ball on the ground and then in a second motion kick it. And that is dropping the ball. I think they need to pay that a lot more because they haven't been paying it as much. I've seen it start to get paid a little bit more, but they need to reward the tackler because the guy's holding the ball. You've got one free arm. Do something. Throw it. Kick it. Make an attempt. I think we don't reward the perfect tackle anymore. It annoys me.
I feel it goes in waves. Sometimes you see holding ball and it is literally dynamite. I know you love that rule where a tackle is made and they get called holding the ball. And even I'm on the couch going, they had absolutely no time to get rid of that.
Yes. There's times when there's times if you've watched them played enough football, you look at it and go, holding the ball, and they pay it and you go, I know. You know the difference between taken on a tackle and not but there's been some that have been so red hot and the players are like, what the fuck was that about? And then there's other ones where they try to break 16 tackles, they get brought to ground, the players got you know what they need to do? Instead of jumping in their back, do the whole, you know, the old hold the jumper hand up thing that they used to do in the 80s? I miss that. They need to start ripping out a few of those to try and change it up a bit.
My team, my whole team got a warning in under 14s football for that. We used to love it. Used to literally just grab their jumper, and just put a hand up.
I want to see more of the hand up.
It's a classic move.
Question for you. Are you surprised Graham Wright coming in, and there's a bit of a feeling at Carlton that they might want to move on one of the Twin Towers?
No, we talked about this last week. I think it has to happen.
Yep.
I think they need to get something to get in before the Tasmanian clubs.
All right. So this
is the last year. This is the last year. If Tassie get off the ground, 2027, 2028, 2029, done. Draft decimated, gone.
Okay. So I have a question for you, right? You've got Harry Mackay. I think I've mentioned this last week, like you mentioned. Take Mackay. You've got Curnow, right? And I'm looking at their careers, right? Careers. Who has the better goal kicking average?
It has to be Curnow it has to be Mackay because Curnow missed about 3 years of football in a row.
Well, Curnow's got 2.2. Mackay's got 1.9.
Okay. Well, I mean, the Harry thing has been well publicised.
The interesting thing is, I reckon it comes down to what type of player you want. If you want someone who can roam around the ground as a bit of a mobile forward, not as good as Jeremy Cameron, but down that, you take Curnow. If you want a target that's inside 50, you can kick down the lines too, kick into the goal square and take a clunker, you go for Mackay. Because
I'm just telling you right now,
I'd
rather Timu Bontempelli. That's what I'm calling it, Curnow. Timu Bontempelli.
That's Fraser.
Yeah. No. Anyway.
Isn't it interesting?
Give me him. Give me Curnow. I want that. I want that roaming forward. Way more dangerous.
It's just
who would you take?
I reckon I'll take Mackay. He's better contested mark. He's had more contested marks. He has more marks inside 50. Has more clearances. His time on ground is about the same.
Older. 2 years older, isn't he?
No, Curnow's older.
Really?
So you're taking the old man.
I am taking the old man.
More hit-outs, more marks inside 50. Takes more marks every game as well too. But they are virtually the same for statistics. One's more of a around the ground player, which I think Curnow might need to move up the ground a little bit more and have more of a faster forward line to get more of a score. But yeah, it's just fascinating. Came up today. Kind of excited by where that one's going to go.
I got one more. One Peps before we
before we look at the games for this week.
I see that Kane Corns is taking a mid-year season break, and the Facebook Warriors jump on there saying, "Hope you never come back. Long overdue. You did it to yourself." All those comments, right? Hasn't there always been a commentator that people hate? And if we play that game, we would have no commentators left. Like, think about all the ones. Robert Walls used to piss people off. Malcolm Blight used to piss people off. Nick Rewald pisses people off. Gary Lyon pisses people off. Damien Barrett pisses people off. I just love it. I just love the fact that Kane lives rent-free in so many people's minds.
Yep. So I think the difference with Kane compared to a lot of those. So I reckon you got to split the journalists. So people like Barrett, McClure,
Morris,
these ones, you've got to split them because they are reporters. But they're not like the reporters what they were around 10, 15 years ago. Because everything these days is around clicks and instant, they've got to have something.
Yeah.
Other side of it as well too. Tell me the last person who has literally been like Kane, who's been on the Sunday Footy Show for years, and then went to Channel 9, Channel 7, SEN, and has literally gone helter-skelter consistently. You could almost go Monday, Friday, Saturday, and then he's got his TV and AFL shows 5 days a week. It was probably
the only one I can think of, Peps.
Yep.
RIP. Robert Walls. Age. Fox Footy.
Oh, Patrick Smith.
And Channel 10.
Yep.
Because people used to hate him because he had really harsh, outdated analysis of the game, like trying to do the old school football with the new school. They said he was biased. He's very negative. Like if you hear him talk about, the doom and gloom really in the commentary box, focusing on what teams, what they couldn't do or what they couldn't take off versus what they could do, like he's probably someone that maybe the older generation beyond us probably remember.
Yeah. Joe Jovanovic, Big Joe, Kung Fu Joe, employed by Seven for clickbait. That's how they make money. I agree. There's way too many TV shows on now, and you've got this thing called the internet on your phone. Like we say something, if we were actually any big and people watched us and listened to us, we would have our content sprayed everywhere.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work that way.
I just love him. I just love Kane.
I love him because a lot of the
I want
time,
a T-shirt that just says "I love Kane."
Should we get some? We want to be Kane.
I stand with Kane.
I stand with Kane. Should we get some shirts? I stand with Kane.
I love corn, just like a corn cob.
Yeah,
I
love corn.
Kane's head on it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get some. Let's get some corn shirts because I love what he does. He's on it, and you know what? If he says something wrong, he admits it, but he'll also say, "No, I didn't say that. Go and check the tape, and then if I'm wrong, come and tell me." But don't go saying putting words in my mouth. He stands by his convictions. And I'd say he's probably got about an 8 out of 10 strike rate of getting it right.
It's pretty funny.
It is pretty funny. And the best one was Ginnivan. He picked on him 2 years ago and said he was a flopper and a hot. And then what did he do? Dyed the hair blonde to say, you know what? I got it wrong about him. That's a guy that can take. So you reap what you sow. You want more of him, you get more of him. Then you don't want him. He's had a week off. Get over it, dickwads. Like, I love him. Hey, big man. Big weekend this week. Because we have a look at the fixture for this week. We have got only 8 games. Fremantle and St Kilda had hard-earned wins, and they're having the week off. Right. Western Bulldogs Hawthorn Thursday. I'm taking the Dogs at Marvel. Hawthorn to continue their bad streak. Thoughts?
Agreed. Yep.
Adelaide, Brisbane, Adelaide Oval. I'm going Adelaide. I just have to go with the home team at the moment.
Yeah, Brisbane are sort of like a bit stop-starty. So, I'm with Adelaide.
Yeah. Richmond, Sydney.
Richmond.
Oh, my God! They killed Kenny! You bastard!
It wasn't Kenny. It'll be Coxie. Richmond will win this, I think. They are in better form. Geelong versus Gold Coast at GMHBA Stadium. Suns, they win that. Hello, ladies. And if they lose that, what's going to happen? Well, I've just lost Jdog. GWS versus Port Adelaide. Big Dog. Week off.
This is the official bolt through the heart.
Yeah, bolt through the heart. North Melbourne West Coast at Hands Oval. Hands Oval is over in Bunbury in WA.
If West Coast win this, I'm going to go on record and say I don't think Clarkson will see the year out.
Ooh, interesting. Carlton versus Essendon, Sunday, 7:20 p.m, the day before King's birthday. Great game. Cracking. And Monday, June 7, 3:20 p.m, traditional. Melbourne, Collingwood, King's birthday. Big Freeze 11. Get behind the cause. We're going to defeat the beast, everybody. Neil Danaher has done an amazing, I won't say it a job, but his effort to get it to where it is right now, 11 years on. Mate, give the man a round of applause. If you haven't had a chance, I haven't got it here, it's over there. His book is amazing. Goes into it Absolutely love it. So if you get a chance, read that. Melbourne Collingwood, Jdog, where do you see that one going?
This is the end of your season. I'm sorry, Peps.
Okay, it's interesting.
It was done last week, but it's definitely done this week.
Cool. And Fremantle and St Kilda have the week off. Righto, a couple last things before we finish up. I want to give a shout out to my man, Jacob Walsh. Now, he's been I've known his dad for close to 35 years. He's just, his whole family, absolute superstars. And he was playing in the wheelchair rugby championships over in Adelaide. If you didn't get a chance, go onto YouTube and have a look at these kids having an absolute crack. They've all got different challenges. That's not the fact. They're out there. They're having a go. And so anybody sitting on their ass not doing anything, you need to have a good hard look at yourself because these kids are having an absolute go at it. The interesting thing I found out was that, did you know that wheelchair rugby was invented because there were kids who couldn't play wheelchair basketball?
No.
I didn't know that. So the ones who couldn't play wheelchair basketball just weren't able to get around or be as fluid in their mechanics. Wheelchair rugby. And it is a brilliant sport. Anybody can play. It's tiered. Depending on your movement score, you can only have a maximum number of points. Brilliant. So if you haven't had a chance, go and have a look. And Jdog, me and the little champion, Marky Pepper, got announced today. We are officially full MCC members as of the next intake coming up.
Really?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Only took us-
You're probably going to be the last class ever to see that ever again.
Yep. So basically what that means is we can now go to the AFL Grand Final every single year.
So if Mark can't go, can I become a Pepper?
If you change yourself to look like the Love Machine, my friend, you can come along with me.
Hoodie, glasses.
Yep. They'll ask for ID, so we'll go get some McLovin ID made up for you. And you'll
Do
be
they
able to
actually
go
ask
as
for
Love
ID, do
Machine.
they?
Yeah.
They don't just give you tickets?
No. You just walk in. You walk in, they scan it, and they'll go, have you got ID? And then I'm going to have to grab an ID, make a fake one to prove it's you. That's okay.
They really do that at the MCC?
Yep, they do that. I've had that done to me. Yes, I have had that done to me.
Oh,
in the bar.
there you go.
Yep. They just come around. Can I see your ID? Can I see your ticket? That's simple as that. So, but yes, we got that announcement today. 23 years in the making. So we're absolutely stoked. Hey, listeners, viewers, everybody, thank you for a massive week. I will have my tips this week. I didn't get to do them last week. I apologise. There's no fault. It's dating rules. It's not you, it's me. But for everybody who's joined us, have a great week. If your team's got the weekend off, have a safe long weekend, everybody. Everybody here in Victoria has deserved it. Everywhere around the country has deserved it. Spend time with your family. Hope your team wins. And more importantly, just stay safe because you are absolutely awesome and we love you guys tuning in every single week. So, Jdog, thank you very much as always.
No worries. See you later.
No problem.
Bye.
And how do you want your footy again? I just forgot. There's something. How do they do it?
Lace out.
Just like how Tommy Roker